So, PANDAS, pediatric autoimmune neuropsychiatric disorder associated with strep. What is this? So my daughter has been diagnosed with this, my youngest daughter. There's PANDAS and then there's PANS, which is like the non-autoimmune form of it that is not typically associated with strep, but PANDAS is typically associated with strep, but not always, and there's a lot of co-infections that can also go along with this. So she does have strep, Lyme, mycoplasma pneumonia titers, and a few other things going on in there. So when you go to get the blood work, it shows that you have an existing infection of those things somewhere in your body. A lot of times with PANDAS kids, it can be in the gut, so it's not showing up. Like for strep, most people go get a strep test and they do like a swab and they're like, oh, you don't have strep, so you don't have PANDAS. No, it's somewhere else, anywhere in your brain, in your gut, in your lungs, in your sinuses. I mean, it can literally grow anywhere, and if it's not taken care of, it can actually be fatal. But my daughter's is in her gut. She has been on an extended dose of amoxicillin. But anyway, what happens is you have a typically functioning, my daughter also has autism, but you have kids that are typically functioning and they're happy, sweet, these amazing children, and then they get sick. And in our case, we had RSV, followed by the flu, followed by strep, followed by COVID, back to back to back to back to back. There was like no time. It just literally kept rolling for all of those, just one straight into another. For her, she got strep. We were at Disney when we got strep, and we didn't know that she had strep, and then she ended up being treated for strep and went immediately into COVID while we were at Disney. And she went to sleep, this happy, sweet child, and she woke up the next day and was like, I don't even know how to explain. She was like possessed. Like, we're sitting here like, do we need to do like a seance or something on this child? Because she was just like a light switch, just went from sweet to absolutely insane. And it's been that way ever since. So she has never been this like sweet, happy child that she always was. She was like, you couldn't poke the bear. She was just always, always, always so sweet. So as far as getting a diagnosis of PANDAS, PANS or PANDAS, the big behavioral changes just overnight like that are really a key factor in pointing that out, but they also typically develop OCD responses as well. So you'll see the illness, the behavioral changes, and OCD. So she started getting OCD in the sense that like things had to always be perfect. We couldn't, if things weren't perfect, it was a big meltdown. Anything from where things are placed to coloring inside the lines on a picture. At the time, she was only like 3. So, you know, she could not color inside the lines perfectly or things like that. It also started with food OCD and sensory issues to now we're pretty sure she also has ARFID, which I can talk about in another video as well. She's undergoing testing right now to see if she has ARFID, but she only eats about 5 foods. So people are like, well, you need to make sure she's getting enough of XYZ, or I wouldn't put up with that. I would only make her eat what I make. Like if I did that, she would die, to the point where like she would literally starve to death. She will not eat things that are not her safe foods. She will straight up die because of that food OCD. So you have to get a lot of like blood work and a lot of like clinical evaluations and stuff like that. And then to treat it, you're usually on like a long-term antibacterial, amoxicillin, azithromycin, something like that, as well as like different, you can do like ADHD meds, you can do anxiety meds and all kinds of stuff, fix your gut health, get all the bad stuff out of you, parasites, bacteria, infections, everything. A lot of people do homeopath remediations, which is great as well. Move out of mold if you're living in a house that has mold. And IVIG, which gets really, really expensive, but you can do like IV therapy infusion, which seems to be the best luck, but nobody's insurance wants to pay for it, and it's like $10,000 and you have to do it like every so many weeks. So it gets really, really expensive if you go that route. But yeah, just a brief intro to PANDAS. So let me know if you want more information about PANDAS.